where the dead walk.
Place where the dead speak.
All right, welcome back to Nightmare Weekend 2024. We were here with the ever amazing Denise Crosby. Like, oh my gosh, guys! Like, you know who this is? I mean, really? Should we start the list, or I mean, they should know?
Yeah.
I mean, Pet Cemetery,
Yeah.
Mortuary, Star Trek. You know what? You guys know at this point.
Yeah.
Yes.
What we want to know is, how did this all start for you?
Which part?
Just, I think, getting into the genre itself.
Oh, the genre
Yeah.
of horror. Well, I was a big horror fan growing up as a kid. I mean,
Awesome.
I would go, spend my Saturdays and Sundays at the cinema on Hollywood Boulevard, and nothing was off limits. It's like, I think my mother was just grateful I was somewhere out of the house, So if I was watching, people getting strangled and, killed, it was whatever. So, I mean, I loved horror and read a lot of Stephen King, through high school and everything. So getting started, I'm trying to think what my first, it would have been Pet Sematary, would have been my first horror film. That came about. Mary Lambert directed it, and she and I had done a number of music videos together. She came out of RISD as a painter, but kind of fell into the music video, of the 80s. That whole, a lot of directors were coming out of the music video world. Judd Nelson and I did her first music video for the Tom Tom Club.
Oh,
and
awesome.
so, and they all went to RISD.
Okay.
The Talking Heads came out of RISD, and then the Tom Tom Club happened, and from there, she said, we're going to make a movie together, and she was true to her word, one of the few in Hollywood.
That's awesome. That's awesome. With Pet Cemetery being your first venture into the genre, did you expect it to be what it is today? I mean, we look at Pet Cemetery and everybody, of course, the great Stephen King, but that was really kind of the kickstart for him also, bringing his film, his books to film and everything like that. Did you expect that to blow up into what we have today? And especially for what you have today and what you've given us in the genre?
I mean, it's hard to predict that ever. You might have a sense that you're doing something a little special, or your intention is certainly that. But actually, in truth, it was pretty risky doing Pet Sematary. Not a lot of female directors were working at that point in time, and certainly not helming a major studio horror film. We were tucked away in Maine, safely away from Hollywood, and given pretty much freedom to do, what we needed to do. Stephen was with us for, the first 2 weeks. We rehearsed before we shot anything. And of course, he wrote the screenplay. So that's a big plus. That's huge. That's huge because it really sticks to the book. It really is appropriate. So, but there was a part of all of us that kept sort of looking over our shoulder like they're going to pull the plug, because it is a dark film, and it's not about the blood and gore in this film. It's about the, psychological torment of this family,
Absolutely.
And the issue of matricide was always a taboo subject. it was taboo in culture, in literature, certainly in filmmaking, and even Steven himself thought he went too far.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first time I saw it really affected me because, a couple years prior, I lost a brother, and it was just, I mean, the existential dread that I felt watching this. I hated this movie.
Right.
I came out of the theater and I'm like, I can't handle this.
Right.
I mean, it really affected me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until a few years ago I revisited it, and I'm like, yeah, it still affects me, but I'm like, it's making me feel something. And that's what movies are supposed to do.
Absolutely. It doesn't have the shock scare. I mean, there are elements of that, certainly. I mean, beautifully done. But, what really is the horror of that film is that one is Louis Creed cannot accept death. He cannot accept this. And he loses his mind. You watch him lose his mind.
Yes.
And he's warned throughout.
Yes.
But he can't process it. And the family, it's this beautiful idyllic setting and this beautiful sweet family that just gets ripped apart before your eyes.
Yeah.
And it is a true horror masterpiece.
Absolutely.
It doesn't rely on jump scares or anything like that.
Right.
It's just, like I said, the dread of the story, of the plot.
The film
the way
itself.
it was shot.
Yeah.
I mean, everything about it.
Absolutely.
Of course, we would love to do nothing but talk about Pet
Yeah.
Sematary, but that's not your only body of work, obviously. I want to talk a little bit later about further on in your career. I mean, you got a chance to work on Dexter. You got a chance to work on The Walking Dead. You did Mortuary with Toby Hooper. Not only at that point later in your career are you working with titans of industry in the own genre, but you yourself have that title as well. When you're working on this stuff, are they coming to you asking? Are you constantly searching out there? And how does that work with, is the realization there for you that you are who you are just as much as big as they are, but you are you as well?
You're so sweet. It's at this point, it's sort of a mutual, appreciation society.
Sure.
We all come with now a body of work, and that certainly with Toby, that was an icon, and I wanted to work with him, and I was so grateful I got to, before he passed on. And so yeah, I think we all kind of respect each other and enjoy the fact that we come with all this stuff. With The Walking Dead, I mean, Scott Gimple, the exec producer, he later on, not right at the start, but later on as we were filming, admitted what a Trek nerd he was, and that when I made Trekkies, he was like he went to the matinee the opening day, was sitting in the theater. I went, oh my God, it was you that was sitting in the theater. So we kind of wink, nod, that we're all kind of aware of each other. So
yeah, I think that's the greatest thing about the genre of horror. At least with horror, I know you've worked in sci-fi and things like that, but with horror, it's just this ever loving and giving family. It's a constant level of respect.
Absolutely.
And as you mentioned throughout the last answer you just gave us, we thank you so much for everything you've brought to the industry. I know you're probably not supposed to say, but do you have a favorite body of work that you've done?
Oh God, there's just, certainly Pet Sematary is one of my favorites. But there's just, each one presents its own, challenges, its own joy. For me, really, it's about the writing. It's always about the writing, and it begins there. So it's hard to pick which one. My babies, all my babies.
And let's not forget, you've been added to the cast of Suits.
Oh
Yes.
God, yes. Suits was a blast, and I'm so glad that they are. Once it dropped onto Netflix, it had this, surge. And I'm just grateful for those guys. That was a really and Gabriel's dad is here. Gabriel Mock, who played Harvey Specter in Suits. His dad, Stephen, is here
Awesome.
today at the con. So I was able to meet him and share, my respect and love for Gabriel, his son.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't tell me how it ends.
Oh, you haven't gotten to
No, I
the
haven't.
end? Oh, okay. I won't. No spoilers.
We are extremely grateful for what you did starting out, but it's absolutely wonderful that you've continued to work throughout and continue to give back to the fans.
Aw.
We know we've been walking around here all weekend. We see you interacting with fans, and it's just sometimes we just have to stop. And because we just love how you guys are, especially yourself with everybody.
Aw.
I do have one final question, as
here
long
it
as
Uh-oh.
I know I have
Here
a
we go.
question I ask everybody
You'll-
that we
you'll-
interview
you'll
that works
love
in the
this.
film
It's great.
industry. And not to put you on the spot, but I do ask everybody, if you had any amount of money, if you could work with anybody, it doesn't matter, you had free reign, do you have a dream project that you would love to do?
Wow. That's interesting, right? I would say I would love to make a film, a horror film that Quentin Tarantino writes and Guillermo del Toro directs.
Oh my.
Okay. I don't
So it
have a
doesn't matter
trophy.
what it
People?
is.
You might get trophy for best answer so far, and we've
Yes.
talked to a lot
Yes.
throughout this week.
I mean, doesn't that sound like a
Man.
dream come true?
Man.
That is
Yeah.
down our
Right?
spot.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
yeah, and of course Doug Jones would be in it.
Oh,
So
yes.
yeah.
God, we
Yes.
love Doug.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you're gonna hand the keys to Denise, she's gonna take him and she's gonna get all of the castles, not just one.
Guillermo,
She's gonna run with it. Go.
Quentin, I'm watching you.
That's right. Get a hold of her.
Yes.
Denise, thank you so much.
It
It's
is
been an
my
absolute blessing talking.
pleasure.
I'll send this to Doug Jones.
There
Oh,
you go.
good,
Yes,
good. Oh
there you
yeah,
go.
oh yeah. Do it, do it, do it.